it be to the king as supreme, or unto governors as unto them that are sent by him for the punishment of evildoers and for the praise of them that do well. For so is the will of God, that with well-doing ye may put to silence the ignorance of foolish men, as free and not using your liberty for a choke of maliciousness, but as the servant of God. Honor all men, love the brotherhood, fear God, honor the king. Servants, be subject to your masters with all fear, not only to the good and gentle, but also to the forward. For this is thankworthy, if a man for conscience toward God endure grief, suffering wrongfully. For what glory is it, if when ye be buffeted for your faults, ye shall take it patiently? But if when ye do well and suffer it and suffer for it, ye take it patiently, this is acceptable with God. And the people of God say, amen. This past week, thank you, ushers, we saw a tragic incident in Charleston, South Carolina. It was an American tragedy, and it has occurred all too often. In fact, 9 times since Barack Obama has been president of the United States. For various reasons, people have gunned down innocent people. In this case, it was a white racist man, sick with racism and the sickness and pathology that is emblematic of past American history. Moving forward, we all know that it is a dead situation because liberty is the promise of this country. And no matter how many sick people rise up to create circumstances that would break the spirit of this nation is strong enough to endure. Somebody say amen. 11,000 people a year are murdered in this country, most of them by handgun. Our heartfelt prayers go out to Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina, because so devastatingly 9 of their members were added to the coming total for 2015. Charleston is a historic city. It is a town where 40% of all African slaves brought to this country came to the shores of America first through Charleston, South Carolina. We arrived on slave boats and were then disembarked throughout the South and to the far reaches of this country as chattel property. And this was done for well over 200 years. This is a part of American history. And now the situation in Charleston takes us back to those days when, by being black, we were at enmity with those who would rule us, despised and hated because we were black and in a foreign land without peers and without those vestiges and heritages of native people. We were just abused and set aside and marginalized to the delight and to the utility of a society that had gone mad. This is what slavery was all about. And you would think that those days would be gone. But not all of those days have passed us. We are no longer enslaved. In the 1960s, 50s, and 60s, we marched, we sang, we coalesce together with people of all races and colors to gain our freedoms and to bring to pass in this nation the promise of our Constitution. We did those things without the use of a gun. We did those things by the sure power of our will and the strength of our personality and the intelligence and the forthrightness that we found in liberty as guaranteed by the Constitution. We did those things in our churches and through our churches. So then it stands to reason that when the devil, and I will say the devil, decides to attack us again as a people, he wants to use our churches as the place of the attack. He thinks that that will hit a heart chord, a heartstring, that would send a signal of apprehension and fear into the black community by striking out at our churches. Churches have always been historic and a main part of what the black American experience is. I read from 1 Peter to let you know that we as church people recognize government, but we also recognize that there is a moral principle behind government, especially in this nation, the greatest nation in the world, that law and order, human dignity and rights is a guarantee of the Constitution, and in fact, it's God-given and inalienable. Nobody can take it away from us. Nobody. And so the attempt in Charleston, South Carolina is an attempt in futility. It will do nothing to move us away from what God has given to us and where we are. Why should the church be the scene of violence? That's what the devil wants to do. Make us leave our churches, lose our faith, turn our back on what has undergirded us and moved us forward. Come on, say in spite of. In spite of abuse and systematic tyranny. Yes, the young man that did this, I won't even call his name. He said there are no longer any Ku Klux Klan, no skinheads. Well, they're out there, but decent people won't abide nor give them excuse for their behavior. So they have to run for cover. But they're out there. And he felt obliged to take it upon himself, as he said, to bring his feelings to the real world. What he should have said, to bring his destruction, his demonic understanding of his cause and his life, his narrow, myopic function for living. And that was just to hate somebody black. And he said that he did it because black men are raping women. Help me, where is that going on? Black men are taking their jobs when statistics say that 50% of black men can't even get a job. You know, he's been sucking Kool-Aid that's laced with poison, the poison of white racism. And he is, if you will, a throwback to days gone by where they thought that privilege was inculcated in white-skinned, blue eyes, and privilege that they took by being slaveholders. That day is gone and never to return again. That's why he did the violence he did in the church. The black people have got to realize that the church is where we have found, and never forget, our aspirations and freedom. The strategic alliance that we have with one another was fomented through our churches. Baptists, African Episcopal Americans, Catholics, Presbyterians, Church of God in Christ, all of us, each of us, from our various Reformation points in faith, came together and stood together and sang, "We shall overcome," and we have. I pray to God that this episode will never again be repeated. But we can't tell you that it won't. The devil will do whatever he can to destroy life. I believe that America can make the coldest and sweetest lemonade it ever could from the bitterness of this experience. In the place of violence, let there be peace. In the place of death, let there be life. In the place of despair, let there be hope. In the place of hatred, let there be love. In the place of isolation, let there be a community embracing. Let there be a communion of people from everywhere to say that we are going to stand together and that we're going to pray together and that we're going to live together in the future. Memphis, Tennessee has a historic church too, the Church of God in Christ. And we can't think, but you know what? It could even happen here. And that's the last thing we would want. But wherever these people rear their ugly heads and do their dastardly deeds, God is there. And God will take care of the situation. I believe in God. Do you believe in God? Our hope and our prayer is to pray for the Emmanuel AME Church and its congregation. Our hope would be that they would be sustained through this period and that they would grow beyond it, and that the very memory of those individuals will inspire children of all ages and all social and economic ranges to know that there is a better life. Why else would the devil attack if he wasn't trying to stop something? If he had us right where he wanted, he wouldn't have to attack us. He wouldn't have to ravage us and brutalize us. No. But he's afraid that we're going to get away and get to something better. But we understand, just like the text said, that we should submit ourselves to governors and to those of authority, and that we should do well in the will of God, to do things of good conscience, because we're not ignorant men. We do know right from wrong. Somebody say amen. Amen. And we know that the will of God is for us to live and to grow and to make a better society. Well, as this radio message is going out to the city of Memphis, I want the city of Memphis to beware, because we too are a historic city in the Mid-South. And we are moving forward, but there are several concerns and needs in this city that have to be addressed. We have a large population of African Americans who cannot find jobs. We have situations here who are economically distressed, educationally misinformed and poorly trained and educated. We have a rising, escalating population in our prisons. More brothers go to jail than you'll ever know. Just go on down to the criminal justice system, down there on Poplar, and you will see one thing: just us being dispensed. Just us most of the day. I'll tell you, it's a shocking reality to see how many wasted lives are being, run through the system down there. And I'm not blaming anybody, but I'm saying this here: circumstances and conditions in this town have to be made better so that people will have hope. Job creation and training has got to be developed. Education to prepare people for jobs has to be better. Because if you look at the statistics of all the murders that are done in this town, the vast majority are black on black. We are killing others quicker than anybody else is killing their own population. And it's a tragedy. And we've got churches on every corner, but a lot of folks don't go into the church. What does that mean? Is the church on the ground floor? Is the church in the community? Does the church witness anymore? When was the last time some of us really and truly witnessed to somebody that you knew was hopeless and in distress? When we see these brothers on the street, they standing on the street corner at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then at 12 o'clock, and then at 2 o'clock, and they've gone nowhere. They have no job. And some of them have so many traffic tickets, they can't even keep a driver's license. Some of them have habits that have just eaten away on their lives. Drug habits, gambling habits, problems that have broken them and made them see no good day ahead. And we don't even talk to them, don't even give them a word of encouragement. In fact, because of the position they're in and the fact that we may have a little bit of dollar bills and some change in our pocket, we become afraid of them, that they're going to take what we have. And the given reality is true, that most black crime is done by black folk on black folk. I wish y'all would say amen in here. The devil thinks he's got us in a catch-22, that we're just going to turn around and run. But I want to say one thing, that we should not run, but we should understand that black leadership has got to stand up and has got to seize control of our communities. And we have to speak ecumenically with one another about the lack of jobs, church to church, people to people, about how we can make situations better. And we just simply have got to do that.